What's up, everybody? This is Manny Bothans, and you are listening to the Manny Bothans is Primary Podcast. Holy crap, we got an amazing response from last week's episode, and we are just going to keep firing on all cylinders tonight. We're going to go right into intros. There's a lot of tasty news that's dropped, and we're going to go ahead and get right into it. First, we're going to start off with introductions. At the top of our list is Forkroll. Am I saying that right?
Yep. It works fine. So, hello, my name is Forkroll Asile. I'm flying with Razor Alliance. I am Sky Marshal for Razor, and I'm also Sky Marshal for the DCU, which is basically the group of alliances that are holding or controlling or protecting the northern part of the drone lands.
So, everybody, before we get into Jay's intro, everybody give a round of applause to Jay. He found Razor. He did it. All right. Thank you so much for that, Forkroll. Jay, go ahead and give us an intro. Jay. Are you there, buddy? All right, we'll skip him and come back to him later. Laz.
Hey, I am Lazuli Loto. I am in Northern Coalition, and I'm also an admin at kagutsuman.org.
Awesome. Mr. Sidious.
I'm Manfred Sidious, the original Manny.
I'm moving to this mode.
Ex-PL guy, back in my own corp, Havoc, and just created an alliance called Hooligans.
That's what we were looking for.
Up in drones, chilling out,
The fever.
doing some stuff, just having fun.
Awesome. Tark.
I'm Tarkinius. I'm the FCON Alliance CEO, leader of Phoenix Federation, and I don't do much.
Hey, you're probably one up on me. I haven't logged in a while. Urziel.
Version 99 with Multiplex Gaming, member of the Bastion, Industrialist, Combat Pilot, and Minister of Law.
And how goes the ministry?
No, we popped the 20 bill Fredo the other day.
Way to spread the love.
Yeah.
All right, and Jay, we've come back to you. Ooh, we may have another person to introduce. Just a sec.
Sorry, guys, I got DC there.
It's all right, Jay. Let's get Bill down into the recording room and you introduced. Welcome to the recording room, Bill. You actually just caught us as we were starting. We're doing introductions right now. If you want to give us a quick introduction, basically it's just who you are, who do you fly with, and what do you do in Eve.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Bill Lane. I'm the CEO of FUBAR. We're an alliance within Phoenix Federation, and Tark does a lot more than he likes to say.
Oh, nice! It's nice to get somebody who can tell us how it is.
If you let it on, if you keep on letting on I do stuff, then people are going to expect things from me.
Oh, way to fuck up the curve for him.
Somebody's not getting some new moons.
Yeah.
Jay, why don't you go ahead and give us an intro? We had to kind of skip you.
I'm used to it. J. Americotti, DRF, Gemco, Diplo, and all-around indie guy.
Awesome. And I am Manny Bothans, host of the Manny Bothans' Primary Podcast, line member with Merrick Enterprises and Just Let It Happen Alliance, very, very line member of Vanguard Coalition, not affiliated much with Triumvirate. I have to put this out there because my corporate CEO, he got talked to after last episode, and I'm not very surprised. I want to put out there in big, gigantic disclosure terms. I don't lead shit. I know almost nothing, and I'm willing to talk out of my ass about everything. All right, I've gotten the disclosures out. Let's move on with the show. Jay, what do you have for us today?
Well, I was hoping we could do a show about the unsung heroes of Eve, the people that, pretend they don't do anything and do everything, whether it's intel or moons or coordinating shit or herding cats or running an alliance or doing diplo, all the things that allow spaceships to blow the fuck up.
I like this. I like this a lot. So what should we talk about first? I vote diplo because I've always been interested in diplo work.
We got a few diplos here.
Oh, yeah?
Tarquinius does diplo. Bill does diplo.
I am a pretend diplo. I pretend to diplo all the time, and then Lady
diplo?
Scarlet comes after me with a whip, and then I am not pretending to be a diplo anymore.
I'm just saying that doesn't make you special. Lady comes after everybody with a whip. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think she has a different whip for each day of the week.
We love you, lady, and this is for you not being here.
Yeah, exactly. We only make fun of you because we love you. And it's fun. Of course, it's got to be fun. It's called making fun, but I digress.
Wardeck incoming.
Yeah, honestly, just discussing the unsung heroes. It's those diplos that aren't the Alliance CEOs that are really the ones that make a difference because, everybody knows who the Alliance CEO is in many cases. I mean, your name is on the Alliance, but those guys who you have to go digging into diplo channels to find them that are doing 20 hours of work a month just to keep an Alliance running when it comes to, preventing people inside and outside the Alliance from going at each other's throats. I think, that is definitely something deserving of recognition. So good call on that, Jay.
Fucking 20 hours a month? Shit, I wish that was like 20 hours a day.
Well, not everyone has the free time or addiction level that you have.
I'm just saying, I wish it was
the
only...
amount of masochism he has. Let's get this. Let's be real.
Yeah, I wish it was only 20 hours a month. That would be awesome.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be like a nice vacation. Nobody bothered me for more than 20 hours this month. It was so wonderful.
Well, when Phoenix Federation moved down south, I lost like a month of my life. Tarquinius can attest to that.
Yep, Jay was wheeling and dealing like no one else. I will not put the lie to hit the truth.
Well, it was more cleaning up shit and getting yelled at by everybody. But yeah, thank you for putting a nice spin on it.
Hey, I am used to getting yelled at.
Well, I think there's really two types of diplo. I mean, diplo is a word that gets overused too much. You're talking about a vile rat type diplo, or you're talking about, some random diplo in some corporation that keeps, the corporation from killing each other. I mean, there's the external diplo, deal making, coordinating things, and then there's the internal diplo. I think there's kind of two different categories, really.
You need to manage those personality conflicts.
Oh yeah,
like to call the diplomats the ruiners of fun. I love Valrat, amazing guy, but the culture that it created where problems get solved through talking instead of shooting, I think was ultimately bad for Eve.
I wonder if test diplos enjoy Pro God Legend right now, especially with this war they got coming up.
No, I can confirm that Test Diplo wants to kill Pro God and Russians and me and just about anybody that talks to him.
To be fair, though, that Diplo probably has to deal with Gigax on a regular basis, so I could see why he would, lose his faith in humanity.
No comment.
He's also dealing with your free time as well, Jay. God knows I have to put up with that myself. If anyone has not experienced Jay's ability to open conversations at all times of the day, go ahead and just engage him at some point. Let him know that you want to talk.
Now, don't put that label on him, because I like it when people talk to Jay. When people talk to Jay, they show up for my show.
Well, the truth is, I'm the asshole everybody loves, right? You don't want to talk to me until you need to talk to me.
Well, aside from Diplos, I think another really important group that probably doesn't get seen as much as they deserve are those guys who are keeping the finances of Alliance going as well. Those POS team guys or market financial guys who keep the money flowing in. Generally, they work best if they're not being noticed.
Yeah, I know we have one or two of those in here. I'm not sure if they want to talk, but for that reason. But we'd love to hear from you if you do.
They're the smart ones.
I guess not. Well, the other thing, it's the FCs that get all of the glory, right? But it's the war coordinators behind the scenes that make, back to what you were saying, Manny, the whole talking with people and yada, yada, yada. But it's the actual coordination of invasions and, big fights and, SOV campaigns and shit that, really goes unseen. And I think we have a couple people that have some familiarity with that here.
Yes, that guy that tells people where to point their SOV wands or Jesus lasers, definitely an unsung hero there, because no one wants to do it. Everyone just creates these very large meat shields and forces the meat shields to do it for them because they can't be screwed to sit there for 30 minutes on an iHub or whatever, or a TCU, God forbid.
I guess I'm a masochist in that regard. I actually enjoy the taking stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Manny loves that shit.
Yeah, I love it. It's a chance for content.
And I gotta say, I do not dislike the opportunity to get kill mails in my skiff.
Oh, the skiff, here we go.
Dude, you gotta love the SOV miner, man. Somebody comes in to fuck your shit up while you're toasting something, you unleash your drones, and you laugh as they die gloriously in a fireball to your mining barge.
It does make for awesome kill mails.
I'm a bigger fan of the Rock as a toasting ship.
Oh god. The toasting Rockwell. Okay, I can see maybe
not Rockwell, but Rock. The
That's just fucked up.
I use paladins and golems.
That's even more fucked up.
It's basically a cheaper version of the paladin, because it's still super tanky and with X-large dual ancillary booster that tanks like crazy, but it's quite a lot cheaper than paladin. So
I don't know, 240,000 effective HP skiff that does 400 DPS is pretty fucking nasty.
It's true.
And it's really freaking funny when you see somebody, get like 30 frigate kills in 30 minutes in a skiff because they're doing SOV mining. But I mean,
so on the war coordinators, how important do you think it is, since it was brought up, the balance between not just planning the war but also inspiring people who may not be like Manny and be addicted to Sovwanding to go out there and do those things that may not be their goal in EVE, their primary gameplay, the thing that makes it fun for them?
I think
the
there's
propagandists.
Yeah, it's all about PR.
There's several ways to. Well, it depends on what level we're talking, right? So if you're talking about motivating the FCs, then it's more an main FC or a Sky Marshal thing. If you're talking about motivating the members, then it's maybe also Sky Marshal in terms of alliance meetings or coalition meetings and grinding or telling people what they have to do and trying to motivate them in that way. But of course, there's also the propaganda for that. If you're talking FCs, then basically the military command aspect becomes a diplomatic aspect very fast, because you have to deal with FCs who usually tend to have quite big egos, and then you have to tell people what they have to do and when they have to do it, and find people to do it if they don't want to do it. So that's the part of Sky Marshalling where it becomes a diplo job, basically. There's also a motivational factor then, of course, because, well, you have to motivate your FCs to do the jobs that they don't want to do.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely one of those things that's unique to the kind of situation we have in EVE, where you have basically like governmental structures. I mean, this is the closest comparison I can think of as a governmental structure, but whereas, a real government may have, the ability to imprison somebody or, harm them in other ways if they don't, follow the goals of the government, or a corporation can take away your source of income. The only thing leaders in EVE have, whether it be military leaders or any other type, is, inspiring people to act in a way that may not be the way that the person wants to act to have the most fun for themselves in the game.
Yeah, you got to talk all those ratters from out of their dank ticks and into fleets.
I think it's all about miners. I think it's all about recruiting the right people to start with. You need team players and then you communicate the goal and explain it to everybody. And if you get the people that are interested in being team player, it flows pretty naturally. But when you get people that are kind of interested in their own thing, then that's where it becomes hard.
Well, the other obstacle you have to deal with as well is spotting proper talent. Because you could find somebody who has the nature that is compatible with the particular role that they're going to fulfill, or perhaps they're creating an entirely new role that did not exist before. But the problem that you face after you have them in that role, you come to realize if they're mature or immature. Like, what is their maturity level, and do they have the right maturity level to handle that specific role? I mean, you don't want to put a prima donna fleet commander who's running, mining ops. I remember one time during the Tribute War, when we were at war with CO2 and Test, I got to read about how Rat Salad, aka Ratting Salad, had to run consistent ADM ops with miners and whatnot. And you put someone like that in that type of role where you have to corral, null bears, basically. It's a shit show, and it's not exactly the best for everybody, and then it just hurts morale. So you have to not only make sure they're compatible with the role that they're going to fulfill, but you have to also evaluate the maturity level and the purpose there, which takes a lot of mental work on the part of you as the leader or your team thereof. And a lot of people just don't have that. It's one of the reasons why Goon Swarm is so successful, is because they have so many different levels of layers of people who are able to pick up the slack when the top guy who runs it is not able to. And another example of that would be Star Frontiers as well.
Or they have multiple levels of redundancy. I mean, they could lose half their leadership team and be fine. And they have a lot of cross-training and infrastructure and support in place. I mean, that's something they have always been very good at, and people underestimate the strength of, in my opinion.
But they don't always compensate those people, and for some reason, and it still baffles me to this day, as to how goons are able to get so many people to work for free for them, whereas in a non-goon environment, it's not so easy in EVE.
Yeah, seriously, if I have to listen to everybody whine and cry and tell me about how somebody took my ratting anom, I expect to be paid for my trouble. Shit.
I think goons it's a cult of personality thing. Everybody wants to be invited to the yacht party, so they're willing to do stuff when they feel like that's the place to be.
You're invited to
yes,
the yacht party, Manny.
Well, they also have an external culture to the game as well. You know, the goons are not solely a EVE, culture. They're not just based on this video game. They do have something external that, where some things may kill another organization, they have that to fall back on. They have an outside culture.
Yeah, but the thing is that nowadays, like, the post-Imperium era of EVE Online, it's not so much SA goons. It's becoming an entirely different culture of its own right. I mean, I remember being in Goon Swarm and how great that was until the rebranding, and then all of a sudden anyone could get into Goon Swarm, and then just the cultural value of being in Goon Swarm basically waned. There was no exclusivity anymore, so the value of the label of Goon Swarm, or the immature elitism, as some people would say, that does bring value to the Goon brand within EVE Online, was really tarnished, and a lot of people ended up going away from that, including myself. So it's situations like that where one cannot entirely say that they have, their own culture, at least from something awful, but they absolutely do from an Imperium point of view, because the Mittani has developed that Imperium culture over time, and it definitely comes out on any of their outlets, their streams, their INNs. I mean, they were doing the Goon meets for a while, but now they have like this monthly thing now where they go to clubs or bars and whatnot, and also add the Mittani's fireside chats in there as well, on top of all the other communication they do. They've done a really good job of actually developing their own culture, but it's still largely based, or largely EVE-centric is my point.
Yeah, they definitely try to get in other games, and they do have the outside community, and I mean, I know lots of people that are connected with the outside community that don't play EVE too. I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, just look at DayZ. Holy shit.
Fucking horrible game.
Well,
You mean
not only
H1Z1?
Yeah, H1Z1, you're absolutely right. No, I got that wrong. They even had like special deals with the Imperium in H1Z1 where they had a specialized Mittani machete. It was a machete that has his regards engraved on it.
Well, they aren't the only organization doing that either. Look at Test Alliance and was it Star Citizen? I think they're the biggest organization over there, and the game isn't even out yet.
Oh, no shit, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, I don't really pay attention to vaporware.
You mean they're dominating the demo? You mean they're dominating the demo?
Nice.
Well, I mean, you run your hands through it and it fucking disappears. What else are you going to call it?
But keep investing.
Yeah, exactly. Keep investing.
I, too, want to contribute to the Ferrari fund of Chris Roberts.
Which Ferrari, person?
Yeah, which Ferrari? The yellow one? Specifically the yellow one?
No, I think he's going for the blue one this week.
No, I think he has one for every day of the week.
Right. But we're only at 6 so far. We need to get that blue one so we have the whole rainbow.
Oh, so he can go on a nice Sunday drive in a $250,000 car? Yeah.
No,
so that he can get 6 of his friends and show up at a Pride Parade.
There you go.
I know Torquinius is so mad right now because he loves Star Citizen.
No, I'm good with it. I mean, I don't have a problem with people not thinking the game's going to come out because, eventually when it does, you'll be eating crow.
I will eat it gladly.
And I have Half-Life 3 to sell you.
Nice.
I'll give you a
Portal
beta key
3.
after the
They
show.
dragged her back.
Well, let's take a little bit more into the military coordination side. I mean, obviously you got the SOV wanding, but that's one small part. I mean, let's just say you're going after a constellation, for example. I mean, you've got TCUs, you've got iHubs, you've got pauses, you got citadels, you got to coordinate multiple Entosis fleets. And I know there's a couple people that have experience with that. You have to deal with diplomatic agreements, NIPs, and all kinds of other shit. What do you guys have to say about that kind of stuff? I mean, that's a lot of hard work.
It's just all about setting up the team before you start and communicating what the overall goals are, and then you just start breaking it down into chunks. And like you said, a constellation, okay, that's the goal for this week. You've named all the components that need to be dealt with in that. And then you just start breaking it down. Hey, Joe Blow, I need you to do this, this, and this. You good with that? Sure, okay. And you just get it all delegated out, and then you kind of keep tabs on it to make sure that people are being held accountable and the things that they said they were due are getting done. And if they aren't, then you pivot and get it reassigned or covered or get them the help they need, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just, it's like managing any project in real life. You have your components and you just have to just oversee and make sure what's needs to be done is getting done.
And that's definitely the roses and puppies version. And then reality hits, Murphy strikes, and everything goes to fucking shit.
Oh, welcome to Eve.
What I try to usually do to keep the problem rate as low as possible is we have basically daily FC meetings, and I assign people daily to their tasks. So if we have one target slip, then we don't have, and then another person maybe have a time for or whatever, and then it got left behind or something. So we try to keep a daily tab on it and have daily meetings so we can assign people daily on their tasks so people are on the ball, basically.
Now there is an unsung hero, because whoever that guy is that has to host and do all of those space meetings, my heart goes out to that guy.
Fucking space meetings.
The main thing is just surrounding yourself with people that have a low talk to doing ratio. Lots of people like to talk about what they can do or will do, but when it comes time to put boot to ass, you find out who actually is the ones to count on. So setting yourself up with those type of people in the beginning is what's important.
And usually it's one or two people.
You also need to have the ability to actually trust them once you delegate work. Too many people, set people up and then they start micromanaging, and it just ruins the whole process from the top level.
And it's also sometimes a little bit difficult if you're in a bigger organization, a coalition, because then you have people coming from different alliances that you have no control who are they sending or who is coming. So then things get,
Well, why don't we talk a little bit? Because I've been personally involved in about 4 of the major actions in the last couple of years, but I know Fork and Turk, as far as a defensive quasi-Sov war, you guys definitely were dealing and coordinating with the defensive branch. So I'd love to hear what you're comfortable with sharing as far as what you guys did. I mean, we saw some pretty fucking amazing fights in branch when everybody was fucking off in low sec, but you guys definitely coordinated a pretty hardy defense that required almost the entire casino guys to come down on branch to actually take it, right?
I think the lesson there was there's a certain weight of numbers that no planning can overcome.
No, I'm talking about before that. I mean, because we were fighting against, hundreds of dudes for months, right?
I would put it this way: there's a certain amount of lag no amount of coordination can overcome.
I was on the other side. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Because when
Sorry,
you had the UQ9... Never mind. Just going.
No, totally go ahead.
Okay, so then we had the UQ9 IHUB timer fight, which was very well planned. All our fleets was hitting basically around the gate. The people had to come in to get to the timer. Well, lag got so hard that we couldn't lock anything, and well, we died for some reason, and then we had to pull out. So it was quite entertaining.
I can tell you from being on the other side of that, it was a letdown. The defense the CSC put up, except for CO2 at FCON, they fought like lions, where everybody else just kind of fell over and died. And I didn't get it after that many years of having the chance to build up and talking the good talk about how cohesive and strong and the bonds of the CSC to just fall over and die. It just blew my mind. It was a big letdown for us.
Well, let's not forget our Razor Bros as well. They were up there with FCON.
I always forget about Razor. Sorry.
Wait, what Razor? Did we find them?
Well, I think that's actually the phrase where this thing comes from, because, well, we decided to stay with FCON and Branch and defend Branch instead of Tino. So when people marched to Tino, there was no Razor defending it, and then #Razor spawned, or #where's Razor spawned. But the reason was we were staged with FCON and UQ9 and were defending Branch. Because the mass basically was, if we can hold Branch, then we can retake Tino anytime later. So that was the idea behind that.
Well, the thing I want to give credit to both FCON and Razor is, like you were saying, but even after the CO2 backstab, I mean, you guys still kept sticking it out. It wasn't until the full weight of the coalition that was against you came down that you guys finally, begrudgingly evac'd, right?
Warp drive active.
I even think it was that. I think, and I don't want to speak for Tark or anything, but I think it was more of a case that it wasn't even when the full weight of what we were applying against them made them fold. It was when it came to the realization that they weren't going to get help from their allies that kind of was the nail in the coffin. Not so much the pressure we were applying.
Well, there was a combination of many things. I'm not going to point to one thing and say, this is why we made the decisions we made, because I was one of the people making the decisions at the time up there. I also understand the decisions other groups made. The plan that Mittani had put out for the survival of the Imperium at the time, from a perspective, made sense. And that perspective is the Goon perspective. Going back to what I mentioned earlier, they have a culture that can outlast damage in the game. It's not a culture that's dependent on having sovs. It's not dependent on having a certain thing done each month, on having people doing certain things every single day. It's a culture that can it's very flexible. It's able to adapt to situations that other alliances could not survive. If when Mittani said, okay, we're going to sit in what was this, Saarinen, I want to say, for 3 months, and then we're going to recapture the the north once the enemy gets bored. That's survivable for the Goons. They could have survived that because of the fact that they would just go and play something else as an organization. That wasn't something that was survivable for FCON. My alliance is much more diverse in culture, much more diverse in people's interests outside of the game. We don't have this secondary cultural. So it was, okay, we have to keep on playing EVE. We have to keep on creating content in the game that we're here playing, and sitting in Saarinen for 3 months would have killed my alliance. It just would not have survived. So it was very much we either make a stand and then find something that we that will allow us to continue surviving, or else we just accept the fact that we're going to die and we're going to get wide-eyed into Goons after 2 months of sitting in Saarinen.
Well, I don't think anybody would deny that FCON and Razor made a fucking stand.
We tried, but there was definitely a point there where the game mechanics and just the number of people fighting against us combined. And again, nothing against the people who showed up, 3,000 or whatever it was. I can't remember the number. Yeah, I'm probably 1,000 people off to just overwhelm us in UQ9, but it was very much still something we could be proud of. The fact that we had 600 people on system, some 400, 500 people on the field actively fighting. We made the attempt. It was something that was a morale. 750. Okay. Again, I have a horrible memory. Feel free to correct any numbers I get wrong. I'm not claiming any of them are perfect. But it was something to be proud of. It was something that we may not have won. We may not have defeated, the people who were assaulting, our staging system. We may not have had the opportunity to, turn the tide in the war, but it was still something that our people could look at and go, we can still accomplish something despite the tough times, despite the hard times. And it's something it requires activity in EVE. We're playing the game, we're having fun, we're still making an attempt, and now let's go do that somewhere else. And I'm not going to talk about the pain of our withdrawal from Branch, but the reason why it was so late is because we were trying to continue to create content in EVE rather than say, you know what, we're just going to go play another game for 3 months and hope our organization survive that.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, you're good.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, you guys did really well, and sorry for leaving Razor off there. Just oversight. I just think I don't know. Goons did people dirty. It was pretty underhanded what they did to have that coalition and be like, oh, we're the CFC. We have these great tight bonds. We're going to be here and treat. The difference that sets us apart from every other coalition is we truly treat our allies like friends and so on and so forth. And then in your greatest hour of need, they just are like, good luck. See you when we see you.
They have to come.
I would say this: treat your best friends well, and you be the worst possible enemy. That's basically died when I just got lost the name. The main diplo basically died in this
Rat
thing. Right, yeah, exactly. He was the person who invented the system, and it worked very well. But when he went away, then the whole system went slowly away as well. So yeah, the situation was visible before that changed. Basically, and that's also a thing that I like to tell people, that Razor was never part of the Imperium. We were always part of the CFC. Every time people say it, yeah, we're in the Imperium. No, we're not. We're in the CFC. And that's changed.
AFCON has cultural differences as well between Goons and ourselves. Obviously, we much different culture of Alliance, but I'm not going to claim that the time we spent in the Imperium was, we didn't gain from it, we didn't benefit from it. We had several years sitting in a very nice region of the game. Our members enjoyed playing, and it was not a bad situation. It was just there was not a cultural match, and that definitely came to light at the end. And just to follow on to the whole playing versus not playing, content versus non-content. There's one of the reasons why the last couple times I've been on the show, I've always mentioned people who create the fun in EVE, because I feel like the thought process of we'll just play another game and come back when we can win is one of the reasons why EVE is struggling. Is if you're not willing to create a fun experience in EVE, even if it makes it a little more difficult for yourself, then other people who may not be in your organization that you will rely on to keep on paying their subscriptions a year from now, 2 years from now, are going to stop playing. And it's just going to keep on, losing player base, because people aren't going to have fun because you are intentionally making it not fun for them. And I feel like that's something that isn't really focused on enough, is the fact that EVE won't exist eventually if the goal of an alliance, the goal of like was mentioned earlier by Manny, diplos, is to prevent fun from existing in the game, whether it's for your side or even another side you're fighting against. You still need to make sure it's a fun experience, because it is a video game and people will only play if they're enjoying it.
Remember, as much fun as much use as nips and naps are, they do one thing very good: they stop fun.
The Goons took the angle of, we're gonna take the tack of we can burn them out faster than we'll burn out. Whereas their culture gets their rocks off on other people squirming. The other groups want content, they want gratification.
Yeah, and it is an effective tactic for the goons. It lets them win wars. It lets them have a strategic advantage. But, that is good for a year, a few years. But, it depends on how long you want to keep on playing Eve. Do you care about what the game looks like 5 years from now? If you do, then it's not such a good tactic because now you no longer have a goon swarm because Eve doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, but as they stated, the goons aren't bound by Eve.
Exactly. You are correct there.
In the long game, what does it matter? I mean, even with, even people who are not, true something awful goons, they've got the Imperium Discord, and you can go in, they network and go through all these other games as well, so it's like, oh, you died. Rip, press F to pay respects, move on to the next game. They'll just decide to, comprise a scheme. They'll go invade Albion Online or something,
That's the beauty and the problem with Eve, though, is until there's another game that can replace Eve, Eve will never cease to exist. And there's just no other game that can replace Eve. I mean, I've talked to so many people that say, I've tried to quit, but I go and play other games, and every time I'm thinking to myself, this game would be better if it was more like Eve in this way.
Yeah, there are some games that check some of the boxes. There's yet to be a game made that checks all the boxes.
See, I agree with that. I think Albion might potentially, but again, it's not in space, right? It's medieval Eve Online.
I don't think most people really care about the genre. I know I personally don't. I could care less if Eve was set medieval or in space, or if we were all, playing ponies. It doesn't matter. It's more about the mechanics and everything that Eve encompasses that I think makes it great, not the genre.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
dude.
agree with
I
that.
like space. I'm in space.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get those people that, the hardcore Trekkies and et cetera that just think, oh, Eve is cool, it's my thing. But I think a large part of the community just likes the cold ruthlessness of Eve Online and the idea of Eve where almost anything goes, and it's
if you die.
dark.
Oh, that's the one thing I love about this game is the sense of permanent loss.
Well, it's all player driven, and that's it's about owning shit. It's about player driven economies. It's about owning territory, building shit, making shit, killing shit, and that's what I say. I think Albion has a chance of actually doing that because they have all those components. They have Eve developers. They have Ultima Online developers. There's a chance.
To be fair, they had grayscale. So, in before mining fatigue.
You know what, though?
Ultima Online's still a great game.
Everybody hates jump fatigue. I think it could have been done differently, some other mechanism, but ultimately, jump fatigue has had a very positive impact on the health of the game. Everybody likes to sit back and look at with rose-tinted glasses, but basically it was two coalitions staring off at each other in the abyss. New groups had no chance to come into nullsec to do anything without being a serf or someone's pet or taking some backwater system that just nobody had any use for because it had no value or resources. So I think if you really look at things objectively, jump fatigue was a really good change for the game.
Sure, except for when CCP does what it always does, and it over nerfs everything, and then takes years, plural, to actually get any semblance of balance. I'm not against fatigue. I'm just against CCP consistently making these over-nerfing decisions and then taking a long-ass time to make any adjustments, because that, in my opinion, is utterly pathetic.
Well, there's multiple ways around fatigue, too. I mean, you can get around it easy.
The thing you have to realize is Crowd Control Productions is a company that's out to make a profit. You can only have so much support staff and staff to do things for balance and so on and so forth. And EVE is by far one of the most complex, in-depth games that there are, with so many systems where everything has to work in balance. You know, when I became a CSM, it was really interesting to get the perspective from devs when we would talk about balance on different things. You know, most of the community was looking at the time, I'll just use an example, the Ishtar. Well, just nerf it for this and it'll solve the problem of PvP. And most of for those exact circumstances, yeah, they were correct. But what the community was failing to understand is the Ishtar interacted in the game and with multiple different systems and things, and what worked for balancing it for large-scale PvP didn't exactly work for balancing it with missions or incursions or NPCing or small gangs, or, you know, just so there's so many moving parts to EVE, and they only have so much manpower to do things. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're a corporation. Their first goal is to turn a profit, so they can only have so much staff and before they're in the red. So, well,
be honest with you, that would have more of a legitimate argument if they weren't burning all kinds of money on failed shit and, you know, spending half of their manpower on fucking VR.
I mean, there's an argument for everything, and I don't disagree with you that they've made questionable decisions, but at the end of the day,
it's pretty hard to claim poverty when most of your devs don't even work on your flagship products.
Exactly.
But, you know, when you've got a budget of this and that's all the money that's there, well, you kind of have to do what you can do. Now, you know, perhaps you can make the argument, and it has been made, that perhaps some of their higher level management that are making these decisions into diversification, it should maybe be dealt to the wayside. But ultimately, you know, they, at the end of the day, they have X amount of dollars to do to maintain or upgrade EVE, and they haven't made some of the best choices. But, you know, when it comes down to nuts and bolts, they do what they can. And I've, as a CSM member, I've been talking to devs at midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, their time, about EVE. And they're extremely committed, extremely hardworking people that take their work home probably way too much. So, you know, it's...
I don't think anybody's going to disparage the developers. I mean, the issue is, right, is top level management. It all starts at the top. When you have virtually no community engagement, customer engagement, you know, anybody that's really in marketing or sales or understands the revenue picture or anything else, you know, you can't blame the developers for management decision and a complete lack of communication strategy. I mean, you know, the developers do what they can do. It's the rest of the pieces that aren't firing on all cylinders at CCP. And that's blatantly clear in the business and investment community. They react. That is it.
Well, do you think that, you know, stating they react kind of falls in line with the whole stretching and trying to innovate with the VR side of things and maybe overstretching themselves there? Seems like they may be taking too many risks, you know, too many attempts at innovation on the, you know, high leadership side.
Well, I don't think it's about taking risks. It's they don't understand their business at a core level. They don't understand their revenue. They don't understand their flagship product. They don't understand their community. because they could not understand, because they don't have any community engagement to really speak of, right? So, I mean, it's not, a programming issue. It's not an engineering issue. And see, that's the problem. The entire senior leadership team of CCP is engineers through and through. And it's not an engineering problem. Their engineering's fine. It's all the rest of the pieces of the business that just don't exist, and a complete lack of understanding of their P&L and balance sheet.
I think one of the biggest problems is they don't talk about the roadmap enough, and they don't stress the urgency that people pay attention to that. As a CSM, I've gotten to see further down the roadmap than a lot of the community, and so a lot of changes that they make and are making leads towards this roadmap, but the community doesn't really see that or understand it, so it's hard to connect the dots.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There isn't really a communication
whose fault is
strategy.
that?
Yeah, there isn't a communication strategy between CCP and their community. That's where 90% of their problems stem from. Because they don't, communicate those changes or, frickin' engage with the community. I mean, they just, CSM was an attempt to fix that, right? But it's, one tool in the toolbox, and they don't have, a tool man.
Well, I'm going to throw some real talk at this. You're expecting a community of hyper-aggressive, borderline autistic, min-maxing turbo nerds to accept on faith that these seemingly random hodgepodge changes that they take months, if not years, to iterate on after being hounded by the community constantly, i.e. the 7 months that people told them that ghost training was a thing, and you expect them to take this on faith that there's a larger plan at work.
They have a perfect example of what happens if you go too far the other direction. Star Citizen, what we already mentioned, where they have a completely transparent development process, and it causes all kinds of problems because people expect everything today, and they see 5 years, 6 years, 10 years to build a game. They want everything right this moment because they see things happening, but they don't see deliverables.
That and those same autistic nerds that you speak of, if they were to give too many details away, would exploit the hell out of it and create huge imbalances in the economy.
So, anybody here want to talk about, moons as part of all of this stuff?
I'm hyped that they're reseeding it. It's going to bring chaos, and that's going to be awesome. Like, everything is going to get scanned, instantly. But, certain groups are going to know where certain things are over their sphere of influence. But nobody's going to know where everything is like we do now. And I think it's just going to be awesome. That whole discovery process and people trying to hide things away, and I think the idea that a region like, say, Wicked Creek or Scalding Pass, that it's just been historically terrible for moon resources. The idea that they could possibly, through the seeding, end up amazing in a region like Delve, or Aquarius, or Fountain, or Declan, that have been historically awesome, could end up horrible. I think that's hilarious. So I'm waiting with bated breath for this all to shake out. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Oh, I know my team wants to kill some developers right now.
There's going to be a new meta that's going to come as a result. So imagine if you're like NC Dot or PL, for example, or even Goons, anyone could do this as long as they have the military might to do it. But you just go into a region and you just take all the moons. You don't even evict anybody, but you force them to use your refineries. Hell, you even destroy their main market hub and you drop your own, and you force them to use your market hub so that you're getting the benefit of all the taxes. You don't even have to charge them rent. You don't even have to evict them. But they're basically forced to use your infrastructure. And
Yeah,
you
but
can
that
move
means you'd have
capitals and
to build
whatnot.
infrastructure to use for other random assholes.
And I believe that you would quickly have a problem internally, no matter how many people you have willing to fight, that you'd be constantly firefighting, going around trying to defend those structures in every single region of the game. And I do not see that as being something that would be either fun or motivating when it becomes we have to defend 20 of these things every single day, every single week, every single month. And, it's fun to get fights, but nobody wants to just spread themselves thin across the whole game every single day.
Yeah, but they're going to be armed.
Depends where you're positioned. Like, take, for example, there's a constellation in Veilless Island that gives you immediate access to 5 regions. It's all about the real estate. You have to have the right location to be able to project your power in that way. And the fact that capitals can go through gates now, it makes that very viable and very possible. Obviously, you wouldn't want to have to enforce somewhere 3 or 4 regions away, but if you're not interested in having the stress of running WeRMT or Brothers of Tangra or whatever the hell, and still don't want to have to blue anyone, this is a solution to the blue donut. Seriously, you pick a region, you live there for your own self, you don't even have to conquer it all the way, you just pick a constellation or 2, and then you have everyone new around you, but you just force them to use your infrastructure. You can tell them, you can stay, but you have to use our shit, and you can defend that pretty easily due to the proximity and the ability to move around. It's all about location. So then you have these seemingly high traffic constellations, like the one in Vale, for example, that has the ability with all the traffic going from all these different regions all at once, space that people would usually think is completely worthless, all of a sudden being very valuable, for example, to be able to enforce that meta, that structure. It's a lot better than dealing with rental bullshit. And the problem with rental bullshit, gentlemen, isn't so much the money, isn't so much managing the people or whatever. The problem with rental empires is standings. Standings and everyone being blue is a shit show. This way, you don't actually have to do that anymore. And you could just have your citadels everywhere you want, and you can tax anyone, and they're basically serfs. It's no longer a game of renters, it's a game of serfs. And serfs means, guess what? They're still Newt, and we can still attack them. So not only are they having to pay our taxes, but we can also kill them as well. They can get over themselves.
How exactly do you handle docking rights in your infrastructure there if you don't set people blue?
So you can set profiles. You can set profiles on your citadels that you drop, for example. Ones that you have for your own alliance or your actual blues, you have a list specifically for them. But you can also have a list that is open to your alliance, and also all the pub lords that are your serfs, basically. A serf list, for example. A profile that you could set for your citadel that will give access to them, essentially. And then they can tether on it, they can get in, they can do transactions and whatnot, and be able to handle that situation.
So you can give people docking rights without setting them blue?
Yeah, it's part of the access control list in Citadel setup.
See, I've never actually built or managed my own Citadel, so I wouldn't know.
I think that vision's a pipe dream. I think that if there's someone, I would like to meet the people that would be willing to be farmed and get none of the resources and live in and live in some space, and
they get all the resources. They just don't get the Citadel taxes. That's it.
Yeah, what he's taking is he sets the transaction rates.
I invite somebody to come try that with me and see how that works out for you.
See, that's the thing. What percentage of this game are strong-minded Manfred Sidious individuals? I'm talking about the weak-minded people. I'm sorry, I'm a goon, right? So even though I'm an NC dot, but from my goon point of view, everyone's just a fucking puppy, and they belong under my boot, right? So, and you know what? Pubby's gonna pub, and eventually pubbies are going to be willing to pay the tax. If they're willing to rent, they're that shitty enough to be willing to be a serf. Someone is always willing to do that at some point in time. And besides, if their name is on the territorial control unit, and they value their little label, their little alliance label, or their little corp label more than anything else to get their name out there so that people join their shit, fine, I don't care. I'm making money. That's all I care about.
And that kind of segues into the spy side of things. We have somebody here from Kugu, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kugu's an interesting community because, one, like, it's not like my original community. I will admit that I just basically stole the brand and just put something together and kind of rebooted it or revived it from what it used to be. And yeah, for the first couple of weeks, the forums was actually active and people were, you know, posting and whatnot, and that was great. And eventually everyone just stopped posting because we all decided to hang out on the Discord server and just talk at each other all day. Like, for example, in the Foreplay channel on the Discord, I posted about Test announcing that their wars with Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, and you had Sort Dragon come on to this Foreplay channel and start giving the people in Test in the Foreplay channel a lot of shit, and it just turned into a nice little mud fight. It was great. I mean, that happens all the time, you know. And we also had Seraph9 Bossarab from Ian24 actually post on the first of the month leaks from Triumvirate, where Triumvirate's like deciding that they want to go after Solar Fleet and hurt Solar for some reason and kick them out of Angel Space, which was very hilarious and fun. And a lot of the Tri leadership did not appreciate that, and they came at me pretty hard. But I explained to them, hey, I'm just the messenger. You know, anyone can leak on Kugu. I'm not going to stop them, right? So people get leaked, and then they have to deal with it. So right now, Kugu's like, really, it's just the Foreplay forum, the private forum. If you have access to it, you can post leaks on it, or I will post leaks on it every month for laughs or tears or whatever. And then there's the Discord server where people actually are, and they hang out and link stuff there and have fun. And that's kind of like the environment that we're trying to do. How do you get access to Foreplay? It's like, okay, hey, yeah, I want to be a spy for Kugu. Great, I'll give you access to Foreplay if you spy for Kugu. Great, I want to be a leaker. Great, I'll give you Foreplay access for leaker. Or there's those guys that are like, I'm none of that, but I'll pay you $1 billion ISK a month to have access to Foreplay so I can read the funny ass leaks. Sure, go for it. Sometimes there are, like, for example, Triumvirate leadership did not have anyone in Foreplay because the only person they had in Foreplay joined Snuffbox the same week that the Triumvirate leaks came out. So they didn't have any leaks or any intel to provide to get access to Foreplay, so they ended up actually buying a Foreplay membership, for example, so that they could read the leaks themselves. Why did they want to do this? Probably to try to identify who the spy was. Maybe Seraph, when he leaked the Triumvirate logs, still had his timestamps in there, or some way that they could utilize to identify the leak within their organization. Now, given the fact that Seraph has stopped posting leaks about Triumvirate since, I would imagine that they did catch their guy. But that's just me imagining. I don't know for sure. Maybe they restructured everything and he got purged, or he lost his roles, or maybe he's just being silent to protect himself. Who knows? But that type of metagaming shit happens in the Kagutsman community right now. But it is definitely not old Kugu. It's not what it was. And the fact that everyone hangs out on the Discord server instead of actually the forums, you don't have the whole, well, I can't join Kugu because then the Matani is going to get my IP address and then burn all my spies in his alliance, and then I'm going to get digi-torpedoed randomly and shit. Like, that doesn't happen. Because if you're on the Discord, your IP is not seen by anyone, not even me, not even your email. Like, I can't see that. So it doesn't matter. And we post the leaks in the Discord in as much as we post them on the forum. So there's no issue there at all. There's like no security problem and whatnot. Quite frankly, Kugu just exists as a community for people who are engaged in spying and the metagaming to actually post the leaks that they have that they're not really using or whatever, just for laughs, and to basically shit on other EVE players and extract tears. It's just a fun, cool kids club where we hang out and chat about the game and hang out. And that's basically what it is in a nutshell.
Sorry, I was going to say Eve needs Kugu. It was missing Kugu, and I'm really excited that it's back. We need more people leaking shit. We need more people shit-talking each other. We need more controversy, more conflict, more people angry at each other.
Preach.
And we need explosions, because explosions are the lifeblood of EVE. Everything that happens in EVE is a result of things exploding. And the more that we get of it, the better I think it'll be. So I think Kugu is back, and they're filling a role that has been solely missed in EVE since their departure years ago. And first, I still don't understand why they shut down Kugu in the first place, but I'm glad they're back.
Yeah, me too. And quite frankly, if the Russians of the DRF and the drone lands decide that they want to commit to a war with Vanguard Coalition and Triumvirate and actually shoot them and try to evict them out of Innsmother in that area on that side of the map, I literally get to claim that Kugu 2.0 literally started a war, because it's not a war about territory. It's not a war about sovereignty or ISK or anything. It's a war about, hey, you fucked us. Hey, you betrayed us. Now we're going to fuck you repeatedly. That type of scenario. It's just like Sort Dragon going to FanFest and someone insulting his girlfriend or somebody, and then he decides to start a war over it. I think that's like Dinner Coalition days, but I don't remember. But the point is that those types of slap fights will start as a result of the Kugu community, and that is definitely something that is missing from EVE. And that's one of the reasons why I brought it back with the group of stakeholders that we have on Kugu, because the focus is to really drive the meta, to really drive conflict and content creation. Honestly, I don't care about limelight. I don't care about status. I just don't care about being famous. I really don't care. What I care about is producing results, content creation, tier extraction. I want people to end up hating each other because they're trolling each other and then deciding to fight each other because fuck those guys. You know what I mean? Those types of stigmas and just general bitterness is what I'm trying to promote within the Kugu community between these relationships. And I gotta say, Captain Patrick Archer was trolled so hard for like 2 weeks straight because of those leaks, to the point where some of us are questioning whether or not he would be the first person to be trolled off of Kugu 4Play, like if he rage crit right afterwards, because the trolling was so high. He didn't. I have to hand it to him that he did not. He stuck with it, and he had a thick skin, and he took it like a man, basically. And not a lot of people would have been able to do that. But just goes to show that the next time that happens to somebody else, you better believe he's going to be first in line to get his mudslinging in when the time comes. And guess what? That's going to breed more fights in the game. Kugu is about bringing in new life into EVE Online and really extending the meta and the livelihood of the game and keeping the game fresh and real and alive moving forward, more than anything else. It's not about making money. It's not about ads. There's none of that shit. It's all about, and the IS that I make goes to the contributors. It goes to the agents that bring in the intel every single day that turn into the leaks that we post on 4Play and laugh our asses off about. That's where the money goes. And we've been able to move it forward and grow it as such.
Well, I think a lot of spy organizations, it's about finding out how some dude's talking shit about you, so you can go push this sandcastle over,
right? Speaking about getting memberships, how would an aspiring podcaster who just wants to broadcast all the funniness get his entry into the 4Play channel without having to drop a billion ISK he doesn't have?
You talk to Jay, and he'll get you set up.
Oh, awesome. I'm meaning to ask you about that, Jay.
Well, kind of segueing into explosions, I think we got some big news this week.
Oh, yeah?
We've handed around at it and talked about it a little bit, but there's definitely something happening up north.
Yeah, going back to Kugu, Test moved over 300 capital ships to M20 in Paragon Falls, which is on the border of Venal. And Pro God Legend posted on Test forums today saying, okay, hey, yeah, guys, we had to sneak everyone over here. Sorry about that. And yeah, we're not really going to move our Australian time zone. They're just going to have to move on their own. But yeah, we're going to war against Guardians of the Galaxy. And just be aware, guys, that Sword Dragon is going to probably do his weird ass shit and set everything to Aussie time zone like he does to try to time zone tank us with his timers, blah, blah, blah. But they seem committed to it, and it'll be really interesting if this test war, Test versus Guardians of the Galaxy really turns into a fun conflict. Who knows? Because you have Tribute and Vale and Tenal somewhat at risk with the conflict between Sword Dragon and Pro God Legend. You also have the Aquarius Fight Club, Atlas Alliance, and Initiative, who are somewhat consistently threatening Tenal and Tribute and Vale sovereignty with their Sovwanding and their various roans to harass renters and whatnot, which is keeping Northern Coalition busy. You got PL and Proviland right now, getting their big greed on, trying to get all those stations when they turn into the Fortizars for them to take, and prepping for the Alliance tournament. You have the Russians potentially going after Vanguard Coalition because of the triumvirate leaks on Kugu. And while all that crap is going on, I'm sure the Mittani is smiling to himself in his very, maximum smug mode and finally deciding to commit to go to Fountain because everyone else in EVE is distracted. So, hey, I'm just going to go take Fountain, guys, so I can own all of the Faction Titan sources and have a monopoly on that. I mean, I'd do it. So there's just a lot of conflicts happening in EVE, and everyone's like, oh, this is going to be a really boring summer or whatever, but that's not actually what's happening. What's happening is that you have multiple conflicts in the north, you have potential conflicts in the east and the south, and then you have a new potential Goon Fountain campaign, which will make everything way more interesting this summer. And even better, it's happening during the Alliance tournament where the elite PvPers of the game are so focused on the AT that they don't have time to actually do anything nullsec related, nullsec PvP related, which may give certain groups various advantages. So we'll see how that goes. I'm very excited for that prospect.
Damn, I died. Sad face.
I think it's pretty cool what Test is doing. Everybody's sitting talking about, we want content, but everybody's been so afraid to nut up and actually do something. So props to them for going proactive and making it happen. I'm not saying that it'll nobody knows what the outcome will be. There's been lots of speculation, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I even thought for a minute that, hey, they said someone made a troll post on Reddit. Oh yeah, we're going to war against Triumvirate, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not true because you guys posted your war plans before the leaks came out on Kugu, and everyone knew about that. So about Tri's betrayal of the DRF. So yeah, that's that. You're obviously not going to war with Triumvirate. Oh, now you're in Paragon Falls and M20 right now as your staging system. Yeah, and I'm like, hey guys, I really hope that they're not invading Vale and Tribute right now, and that deal that they made with Goons 4 or 5 weeks ago wasn't about them hitting NCDOT and PL interests. Yeah, let's hope that's not the case. And sure enough, PGL's like, oh yeah, hey guys, we're going after Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, okay, cool, sure. I wonder how long that's going to last. We'll see. And hey, I wonder if Sword Dragon's going to tell PanFam to be like, hey, stay out of it, we got this, or if they're actually going to ask us for help. We'll see. There's lots of options and potential there. And who knows? Third partying could happen. I'm always down for third partying.
Something's happening, which has never been. Sorry. Always interrupting somebody. No, go ahead. That's all I had to say.
I was about to say that Try also went up there with 300 capitals, and it didn't went too well for them, so... Well, Bethesda will have my subcaps, that's true, but we'll see.
Fork, you gotta answer this question, and I totally understand if you don't, but is the drone control unit actually going to be joining, let's say the Russians actually want to commit to go after Vanguard Coalition, would the drone control unit actually go in on that with the Russians? For those that don't know, the drone control unit are basically the English speakers of the drone lands, essentially.
What is the drone? There's DRF and Gemco. There is no drone control unit.
Yeah, it's we're basically a sub part of the DRF, and we're part of the DRF, so or Gemco, whatever you want to call it.
It's like a sub community of the DRF, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And
everybody falls under UAX.
Yeah. So, we are. Usually we are operating quite independently, so what basically is happening normally is XIX is holding Geminate and the surrounding areas there, and we are basically making sure that the northern part of the drone is being protected. And of course we are part of the DIF, so if there's going to be a war, then we are going to be in support of this war, of course.
Warp drive active.
Well, let's hope it comes to war, because that's what E needs right now. A summer of rage instead of a summer of endless Matani fireside chats.
Well, there's a forge fight often enough, so we are in for one more round. But yeah.
Actually, guys, I actually have to go. About right now, my time's run out.
All right, you want to give us a quick shout out before you go?
Yeah, sure. We're talking about unsung heroes. I do have one unsung hero I would like to give a shout out to. This is for my good friend Doc Weed. He was a great Nole Secunda spy for Goonswarm Intelligence. Also was a spy for Goonswarm Intelligence when he was in Black Legion. He was also my handler for a while when I was in Goonswarm Intelligence, when Dark Star Warrior and Vicky Rail decided that they couldn't deal with me anymore because I would bother them too much, and then they sent me over to Dockweed. But Dockweed was a really good dude, and I haven't seen him in the game for a while, and I'd like to come back. He was very instrumental in Backcountry leaving Goonswarm. He was the one that informed Backcountry leadership that Goonswarm Intelligence, like the GIA, or they became the Black Hand or whatever, asked him to basically spy on his own corporation and keep watch of where their supers and titans may go, etc. And he got those chat logs and provided them to Backcountry leadership, which basically was the final nail in the coffin that caused Backcountry to leave Goonswarm and join Pandemic Legion during the whole book drama regarding Endy's leaks that made it out on Reddit and whatnot. So yeah, this shout out is to Doc Weed, saying that you are missed, and please come back. You would be an absolute pillar within the Kugu 4Play community, and it'd be really awesome just to have you around. So we miss you.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch.
Cool. You gentlemen have a good night, and I'll see you around. Fly dangerous.
You've got an open invite. Hope to see you around. Les, he's a good dude. All right, so what else has been going on? Anybody keeping an eye on the Alliance tournament? I know we were going to talk about that, and I totally forgot to keep an eye on it. I know Jinton did a video on it, and I just haven't had the chance to see it yet.
Well, I have to keep a little bit an eye on because I'm going to be part of it. But well, our first enemy our opponent is going to be NC Dot, so things are not looking too great, I guess.
Warp drive active.
I have to explain maybe that we haven't had a team last year, and the teams before basically all left Razors, so we are starting completely new, and yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we made it in this year as well. Surprisingly, we usually aren't lucky on the random draws, or I think we got outbid by like one plex one time for the buy-in. So happy to have my team in it, but you know, going without being in it for a few years is definitely going to be an uphill battle for my guys. But you know, obviously, I'm wishing them the best of luck.
Yeah, my alliance was going to enter, but we had a whole bunch of shit go down. Who knows? Maybe next year, right?
Always next year.
And with the new system where you can fight your way in, I think it's the chances are much better to get in there. So.
Yeah, I really do like that. It takes away a lot of the randomness there was before, where just literally the one year where they pick names out of a hat for one of the tournaments. Yeah, I definitely prefer the you know, you have to earn your way into the tournament rather than, you know, here's some luck.
Yeah, well, the other way was to throw a much money on the problem, so that also worked.
The Bastion has to go up against Test.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Active.
That should be a good match.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting and even match. Yeah,
yeah, I think those
Goons
matches
have
like
to
that
fight.
are.
Goons have to fight Brave.
I think, you know, like a Bastion Test match is the matches that are really fun to watch, because you don't have this expectation of lopsidedness where one team is just expected to completely dominate the other side, where one team may have won the Alliance tournament 4 or 5 times and the other team's a newcomer. And you also may not be really sure about what kind of tactics each side is bringing, because, you know, you may not have this history of, okay, this is kind of what they've done in the past, so this is what we can expect to see from them this time. So I really do enjoy those very evenly balanced fights between large groups in the Alliance tournament.
See, and then it comes down. Sorry.
I was going to say, PL's got an easy match. Looks possibly it's they're against an alliance called Good at This Game.
You always got to watch out for those, because sometimes those are just those you know, sneaky holder alliances where all of a sudden you have 20 extremely skilled players that are just, you know, creating a prop alliance for the tournament.
Well, I think when it comes down to theirs, I mean, there's a whole meta and spy game and all kinds of shit surrounded around the, you know, the tournament. You know, trying to figure out what they're going to bring. You know, having people, you know what their fits are. You know, just there's all of that. You know.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the list to see who I recognize and who they're going up against. See, a band apart has to go up against Slice. So that shouldn't be too big a deal.
Isn't Slice renters now?
Are they renting up in Guardians of the Galaxy?
They might be. I don't know what their status is within that coalition, but I don't think they're very well regarded. Looks like Gastabout fielded an entry into the tournament. For those who don't know, it's people who were in the Center for Advanced Studies NPC Corporation community. Probably one of the most well-organized NPC corps in the game. But they have this holder alliance that they use to do, I guess, other stuff that requires corporation and alliance membership. And they're going to play in the AT, so hey, more power to them.
Wait, we got a newbie corp that's created an alliance and is participating in the tournament.
Yeah, well, it's members of that community. Since once you leave,
It's kind of like EV
cast, you
University.
can't. Yeah, once you leave cast, you can't go back into it. So they just created a special corp, an alliance for all the people who were in the Center for Advanced Studies.
I mean, there's some pretty long-time veterans over there in EV University and some of those groups like that.
Yeah. Then we got Templus Cals. It's a faction warfare corporation, Caldari. They have to go up against Hydra.
Ooh, that sucks.
I was gonna say talk about getting thrown into the deep end from the start.
I mean,
it's like
Active.
of course, FCON's got to go up against Hard Knocks. That ain't gonna be easy.
that should be a good match.
Oh, we just got to make sure they all boundary out. You know, that's how you win those matches.
You just have to hope they have an Elise moment and just boundary violate. PFR is still kicking around. Looks like their small alliance that is built for nothing but the tournament now, since they no longer hold sovereignty and haven't for some time, is going up against Ghost Legion. The Culture and the Initiative are going at each other from right off at the gate, so that should be interesting.
The capacitor is
Docking
empty.
permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Thanks for the follow, Streamline.
Shadow Cartel's going up against Of Sound Mind. I feel sorry for Sound. I really do. Waffles is going up against End of Life, which is the wormhole corp that Brandon McNally was part of when he participated in the Alliance tournament. So they're in for a rough ride.
So you guys had kids. Was anybody talking to me?
No, I'm just going through the bracket.
We were all talking to you. We were wondering why you didn't answer. We felt snubbed.
Yep.
All right, bedtime.
Feelings, man. Yeah, looks like some of these matches, even right out the first gate around, are going to be interesting. Some of them are going to be just they may turn out to be pub stomps.
Well, I mean, there's groups like TMA way back in the day, and they used to do some weird shit. You get groups that'll do stuff like that and beat, some high end group and suddenly be, deep in the bracket.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's not outliers. I mean, anyone who's ever covered the Alliance tournament will tell you that there are always going to be outliers.
It's those ones that really, I don't know, excite me. Like the people that use, the first time they were the first ones to use the micro jump drive in unison, and with a blaster fit, like drop right on top of them, just rape the other team. It's those kind of things, or hull tanking, or just or using industrials for ECM.
Yeah.
Those are the fun matches.
Wait, there was a match where people flew industrials? I want to give it my left nut to see that match.
I'll find a link and send it to you. It's and they're only at one point, so you get like a Neros, tanky as hell with ECM on it.
This is my hauler. I haul jams. Oh shit, that would be nice.
Yeah,
Because I remember that. Sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, you go ahead and get a bunch of like Tyras with all their mid slots, and you armor tank them or hull tank them, and you're just like, oh, it's industrial. Oh my god, he jammed half the team.
And hey, now I have a ship to haul all of their loot in.
Pretty much. I think one of them is actually trying to loot people on the field after they won.
Don't port me back to TQ yet. I want to loot the shit.
Gotta afford that next match.
Yeah, unless someone's bringing a flagship, it may not be worth that much. They've limited the modules and stuff so much now.
Loot is loot. Even if it's a bunch of Tech 2 shit, I can still make some money off of that.
So,
and seriously, for some of the poorer alliances, that may not have the the income of some of the big ones, like PL, sometimes that loot could actually be useful for the next match if they're winning.
Oh yeah, I'd love to stick some faction tank on my flagship that I took from the other team. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but I don't think you could change the flagship fit once it's submitted.
Oh, that makes me sad.
But you could sell it and potentially, have a new comp for your team.
Yeah, exactly.
This is also true.
Comp or buy more ammo or something.
Some of the smaller groups, you gotta look at some of the smaller groups. I've seen some of the back end, and you got an alliance tournament budget of say 10 billion-esque, and you're buying your flagship, you're buying all these tier 2 ships. 10 billion doesn't go very far.
Oh, the flagship alone, even a fully faction fit Valgorn will put you out probably about a third, if not more, of that budget.
Yeah, and then depending on your comp, TFIs or whatever, right? A lot of groups are barely squeaking by, so.
Now, see, I'd love to be the guy in my alliance who just drops a shit ton of money and says, hey guys, we're going to the alliance tournament. There's just one problem. I work technical support, so I don't make shit tons of money. But, hey, if you guys want to donate to the Send FUM8 to the next Alliance Tournament Fund, please send your ISK to Manny Bothans. Sorry, I had to get my begging out there.
And then some rich guy sent them 500 billion.
Oh, God, if some rich guy sent me 500 billion, you bet your bottom dollar we'd be at the next AT.
Yeah, you'd have to broadcast that shit.
I'd FC the shit myself and stream it on Twitch.
It would be funny just because you would have to make CCP put your alliance name, which they tried to change forcibly, on their stream, or you would have to put your ticker, which is just as bad.
F you, mate. God, I love that ticker.
So for those wealthy people who may be listening, the troll value alone, even if they don't get anywhere,
and
even
trust
if they
and believe,
get illuminated in the second round, hell, that's the troll value alone's got to be worth it.
And on top of that, if you donate your money, I will advertise you aggressively. Because, trust me, if I ever ended up in the Alliance tournament, I would stream every match I was in. I'd put it on a ridiculous delay.
That'd be an amazing 2 streams.
Both of those streams would be awesome one day.
Is that something they would allow? I've never seen the terms of service for the actual tournament teams themselves.
Well, actually, I could have sworn last year, the year before, there was a tournament team that was also a group of podcasters, and they streamed all of their matches.
Okay.
Hey, Manny. Manny's got to go. So why don't we say bye to Manny?
All right, Manny, go ahead and give us a shout out.
Hey, thanks for having me again. It was fun to sit and talk. Yeah, so I created a new alliance called Hooligans, and we're going to be doing some stuff and looking to take on some corporations, perhaps, if they're decent people and goal-oriented and easy to work with. So if you think you fit that bill, get at me. Manfred Sidious in game. Take care, guys.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch. Thanks for showing up, Manny.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that I've talked to, they've lost interest in AT since you can't, use bet to bet on the tournament.
Yeah, that makes me sad. I lost a lot of money on SMA.
I made a lot of money on TMA.
Yeah, I kind of broke even with you bet, but I never really threw a lot of money at it. It was just 50 million here, 50 million there.
Does anyone know the viewer count of the qualifier rounds versus what the normal tournament rounds are? I didn't have a chance to look, but it might be interesting to look at that just to see if there was early interest, especially since there was a much wider group of alliances that were participating in that than will be eventually inside the tournament itself.
Possibility. I mean, more people will be invested, and there may be more people looking in if to do nothing else, see how their team does.
So talking about communities, Bill, you want to talk about your community you've been involved in?
Yeah, I can do that. So I was I'm still involved with the militarygamers.com community. Basically, it's U.S. veterans for the most part, veterans, active duty, reserves. And they do accept some foreign military folks as well, and family members of those that are already in the gaming community itself. And it's just there for support. They do, not just computer games. They do, all the console games. They talk about board games, all kinds of stuff. They have an official core within EVE itself that I was CEO of for about a little over a year before I decided, started an alliance and really just stepped down as CEO so that someone could really give the corporation the attention that it needed so I could focus on the alliance itself. But yeah, it's a great community to be a part of. If you're a veteran, they really like to look after each other. When things happen, members pass away. We've actually had one last year or the year before that passed away, and they just set up GoFundMe's for the families, and any kind of support they can get them in contact. People with going through trouble in their life, they've lost their homes or whatever. There's just a ton of support there. But for gamers and just even people that may not be hardcore gamers, just real casual, interested in games, it's still a great community to just go join, talk to people, see what they do, get involved.
When is it there's like tens of thousands of people in your guys' community?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the number in a little while, but there was a pretty large community last time I checked. I don't know if it was tens of thousands, but it was definitely up there. I didn't want to scroll through much of the member list.
I think somebody else talked about the community of the NPC player corps and the MPSI groups and the broadcaster reps and all those groups out there that really kind of tie the things together. I mean, Cougar we kind of talked about a little bit.
I'm a big fan of these communities and groups. Just the way the players come together and support each other is pretty amazing. You watch the news and you would think that just everybody hates each other, but these groups really come together and help each other out. I'm a person that likes to help people, and to watch that happen is pretty awesome.
I think Tarquinius has to leave here soon.
Yeah, I gotta head to bed. It's about that time.
All right, we'll get a shout out from you real quick.
All right, well, same thing last couple of weeks. Thanks for having me once again. I want to thank everyone who makes the game fun. Like I mentioned earlier, it's the only thing that's going to keep Eve alive for a long time. And, guess I got to give a shout out to Bill now that he's mentioned it, for the Military Gamer Organization being a part of the leadership over there and helping keeping that going. As a veteran myself, I know that there are, it is quite a popular organization, and it does do a lot of good things, but it doesn't, it's not, throwing it in your face. It's not something where they go around and say, "Oh, look at us! Look at all the good we do." So, big kudos to them for being understated heroes. So, you guys have a good night.
All right, take care, buddy.
Have a good one, man.
Yeah.
Good night.
Looks like the little bit of data I was able to get. The feeder rounds were not archived on CCP's Twitch channel. Can't see those statistics. They had 4,689 views for the first day of the last Alliance tournament, but the only feeder rounds that I have are from EVNT, and they peaked at 288 views.
Oh man, that kind of sucks.
So I don't know if CCP streamed it, but it wasn't archived, so I can't see their usage data.
Well, for the feeder rounds, I know CCP didn't stream those.
Well, and they didn't do a very good job at marketing them either, as far as when they were and who was fighting or anything else.
No.
Yeah, so we don't have any conclusive to go on. We do have last year's data, so we can tell when the Alliance tournament starts this weekend, but we'll see.
Well, back to the thing I've been bitching about is the community engagement from CCP.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the AT is it's always been this thing on the side. Yeah, the CCP provides prizes and they develop, prize ships for the tournament and all that. But there's never been a really dedicated team to go with it. It's always just been kind of a hodgepodge affair. Like when Soundwave was the lead dev, he did a lot of it, on his own. It was always just a thing, and he spearheaded, making sure it stayed a thing.
You almost get the feeling that the Alliance tournament has been largely made up of volunteers from CCP. Like it
definitely has been.
Oh yeah, no, the Alliance tournament's always been a labor of love.
Which is kind of surprising with the rise of the esports and everything going on, how popular that is. You'd think they'd push it a little more. Even the smaller games like Rocket League, it's in your face. You log in and they're like, "Hey, we're live now," and all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of things pointing you to it, and I don't get that with the Alliance tournament.
Well, the thing about things like Rocket League is, any idiot can understand. It's basically, soccer with little rocket RC cars. I mean, it's not rocket scientists to figure out what the fuck's going on. You got games like LOL, which are massively pop. Yeah. Well, then you got games like LOL and Dota, which are massively popular, and even people who don't play generally get the idea of what has to happen where. And then you've got something like the AT, where it's like, what the fuck is going on? I have no idea.
Well, that's what I find interesting about it, though, is that
Why are these nerds yelling so loud? These bars are just turning red.
Yeah, you really don't have to understand what's going on, and that's why I find the Alliance tournament interesting, is just watching the strategy that people employ, and just how the whole thing comes together.
Yeah, but when you go onto a stream and they're doing the pre-show and it's like, oh yeah, this group's running a Mimitar Rush team. It's like, well, what the fuck is a Mimitar Rush team? There are so many, inside things in regards to, the Alliance tournament, what's going on, that it's pretty stifling to outsiders and even, new players. Like I sat in a TeamSpeak channel with a newer player while the AT was going on a couple years back, and he's explaining like what's going on, and I'm sitting there having to break it down for him, what this ship does, what that ship's why they're using it the way they're using it, things like that.
Well, see, that's a case in point of the community, doing what CCP should, right? I mean, the community educates CCP's players, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's, we've always been, the players have always been the best people to educate the players.
Yep.
But I mean, if you want to get the wider audience and rake in the kind of stuff that Dota and LoL and all those others, this game is just too complex for that.
Yeah, that's the really big thing that's keeping EVE Online from being an esport. It's awesome, it's competitive, but there's just a lot of things that you have to know before you can start watching it, as opposed to like Overwatch or something like that, where you can just see from a dude's point of view, oh shit, he just shot that guy. Shooting that guy kills him. Pretty easy to get it.
Yeah.
Tracer just came in and filled a dude full of plasma submachine gun rounds, and now he's dead.
Yep.
Yeah. Or they're taking this point and it's changing into their color, but then Bastion showed up and no.
Whereas in EVE, you've got just so many different choices for strategy and ways to destroy your enemies, and they all have meaningful choices, and all these meaningful choices, while they make for great gameplay, it's not so easy for the layman to get into. It's not as easy as watching somebody shoot someone else in the face. Now we've got to decipher all these little icons next to these bars that keep turning red, and all these people are yelling, and I don't know why. And then, of course, you got me sitting on my phone going, oh, reps caught. You laugh, but my wife has seen me do this. She's like, oh my god, I've never seen you actually watch a competitive sport before. This is new. I don't watch football. I don't watch basketball. I don't watch a lot of sporting events. But the AT, oh yeah, dude, I will sit there on the fucking couch with the TV on Twitch, just reveling in it. Of course, I've also got to wrestle the TV away from my wife, which is easier said than done in some cases.
Ah, yes.
Like she's like, God damn it, not that spaceship came again.
Yeah, basically. I'm trying to talk her into being a member of the. I'm trying to talk her into being a member of the volunteer team for eVegas. Only because she doesn't have anything else to do while I'm, filling lanyards and shaking hands with mittens.
I'll tell you, one of these days we should do a show of the spouses of EVE players.
I've had her on one show.
Yeah, he's had her on, and I think he's the only person who's ever done that. Besides maybe Rafe bringing his wife.
Yep, Rafe brought his wife onto the Clueless Space Nerds, and then we realized where he gets it from.
No, what I was saying is like a show of like, 5 or 10 Eve players, but just their wives. Like, just let the wives talk.
Be a lot of hate flowing.
Yeah, I was about to say, would that be a show just about of content of swearing?
I'll tell you what, man. You talk my wife into hosting such a show, and we will make it happen.
There would be a lot of hate on that show.
Yeah, boy.
On this episode of Eve Made Me a Fucking Widow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can already see how beautifully that would play out. And of course, none of us are going to get out of the fucking doghouse for years.
So what we do is get all the power players' wives, and then we bring up some shit like, well, why don't we talk about when there's a major war or invasion and when you don't see your husband for a month?
When your husband's alarm clocking at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yes, I can see it now. I am the reason why your husband's getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, angry because some fuck nuggets are reinforcing in space.
Yeah.
Wake up at 2 in the morning. God damn it, they're toasting my shit again. Motherfucker's gonna kill those bastards. Those would be wonderful stories to hear. So please, spouses of Eve players, if you happen to hear this in the car while your other half is driving, please join us.
I think my wife knows more about Eve than any non-Eve player, and she fucking hates the game.
Oh, my wife just drowns it out. I've told her so much about this game, she doesn't retain any of it.
Oh yeah.
I told her I was having the unsung heroes of Eve on, all the number crunchers and the logistics guys and the people who make shit work. She's like, "Oh, you're having devs on the show?" No, I'm having players on the show. Finally, I had to break it down into Star Trek terms. I'm like, last week we had all the Picards on. This week we're having all the LaForges on.
Yeah.
She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, Picard may command the ship, but that ship ain't going nowhere if it ain't working."
That's right.
Yep.
Your LaForges make your Picards look good.
Yep. Even Napoleon said it best, an army lives on its stomach. They may not have to worry about food, but you still need ships, mods, ammo, drones.
Poor some bitches to fill some poor son of a bitch to reload the gun for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell people where to go. Always a good idea.
Of course, the last Vitaru kills I've been on, we never used our guns.
What?
We just used drones.
Oh, yeah. The drone ball is real.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get a couple hundred Macarials sitting on Vitaru that just anchored. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sit here and let this thing in. We'll hit damage cap easy. I'm just gonna let this thing just wilt away and die because Pandemic Horde didn't show up to defend it.
Oh well, you got to see a giant explosion.
Yep, I've seen several in the past few days.
Yay, gigantic explosions.
Let's face it, I got it up on enough fleets in one day that I got 11 paps in 4 days.
Oh,
and each of those is supposed to be a 2-hour time commitment for a fleet.
That is one thing that I'm very glad that I don't have to worry about anymore.
Oh, we don't click links anymore.
Oh, you don't? So how do you get paps now?
Well, since we can't use the in-game browser anymore, we don't have that functionality. So they've switched it to a snapshot that the FC takes of his fleet window. So it lists everybody, and then he submits it.
Okay.
Oh, that's gotta be terrible.
We just rebuild it back to a system where you can click links again. Hey. Took us only 1 year and help from other people.
Well, I mean, it's all well and good to be able to click a link in the game and have it open up in like Chrome or whatever, but yeah, with the Imperium system, and I can speak from experience because I used to be a part of this system. If the in-game browser doesn't work, members aren't responsible. Members can't be held responsible for their own PAP links because the in-game browser was integral to this. Not only did the in-game browser give them a link to click on, but it also provided the actual website that tracked all the PAPs, vital information about where you are, what system you're in, what ship you're in, and it gave them all sorts of intel.
That's still there. That's all working via API. So the new system that we're currently using is doing the same thing, but it just opens the out-of-game browser and the rest is the same. So.
Well, now you've got to talk Imperium IT personnel into rewriting their software.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, Urs.
I'm not even going to bother with that. I don't care. Click on the link. All I care is that when I look at a dashboard, I get credit for the fleet.
Spoken like a true line member.
Spoken by someone who gets paid for every PAP he gets after the 8th one.
Oh yeah, you guys had that very interesting system over there in the Bastion. I didn't think they counted your.
It's not the Bastion. It's Multiplex.
Oh.
Multiplex has the corp. We do it with the corp. The people who just want a PvE, they don't want to worry about PvP. They pay in 80 million per character that they have in the corporation. The ones who go out and get PAP links. Once you get past 8 for your character, 8 per character, any extra one you get, the pool of the members' dues, that goes back to you because you're paying the people who are keeping the corporation in the alliance. Because every corporation in the alliance is, rated on the participation. So this gives us a system where we can incentivize, we can free the people who don't want to do it from the obligation, and they help provide an incentive for the people who want to do it and don't want to worry about ratting or money or anything like that. They can still make money. They don't have to rat. They can do what they enjoy. So, everyone wins.
Now, has there ever been months where everyone's just like, man, I'm just going to PvE this month?
No. We've had some times with people that, people who've been on vacation and stuff, but it takes consistent time of not meeting it, benchmarks before Carneros get mad at us. And he understands our corp structure, and he knows that, we just tell him, hey, the people who are big on PAPs haven't been logging in because they're on vacation. Like, well, we'll see if they're back next month, see if your numbers improve.
Now, are you getting PAPs for your corp on your mini-love character, or?
Well, my mini-love character is in the corp. He's in the back. He's the character. Is the one and the same.
Oh, okay.
That's why up until about 6 hours ago, he had a negative 4.5 sex status. Because
actually, that brings me to something my corp and Alliance CEO wanted me to talk about on the show.
Yep.
I was talking to him about what we were talking about on the show tonight, and I was like, we're celebrating the unsung heroes of Eve. He's like, well, you should put out there how CCP is screwing all those people over. He's of the opinion that people with negative sex status should not be allowed into high sec.
Wouldn't change anything.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Just makes low sec even more dangerous. But those situations where you're being shot at by Concord whenever you jump into high sec, he's of the opinion that if you're in that situation, you should probably just not be allowed in a high sec. And the code is there. The code for denying you access to a Stargate is there. It just has to be able to point to your sex status too.
Yeah, but then if you do that, that means that people who are pirates wouldn't be able to buy anything from the market because there's no market in most of it.
This is also true. It would require the building of a high sec alt.
But I look at it as
Well, it simply would increase the sell of this Concord text. So.
well, like I said, I just raised my sex status because I was at negative 4.5, and I flew out to Jan in a capsule and bought some tags, paid the money, and boom, back up to 0.01 sex status.
Nice.
But I linked the characters Killboard in the Mumble chat if you want to see it. And you'll see one day he's killing Tarus in Aquarius that McCord's been spamming in QFC. And the next day, he's killing an 18.5 billion freighter in HiSec and pointing.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I have jump clones in 1DQ, the Goon Capital, and I have jump clones in Jita.
I remember this kill mail. This kill mail was linked over in Reddit. Yeah, this dude had like 4,000, almost 4,300 adaptive invol 2s worth almost worth over 10 billion.
Yeah.
Oh, and they all dropped to Loot Fairy. Said yes.
Yep.
That's just fucking awesome.
Yeah. Pro tip to the guy if he's listening: get your inventory to market more often than half past never. Because I mean, shit, he had over 2,000 Berserker 2s. Do you realize that's 208 blueprints per Berserker 2s?
Oh, and those all got destroyed. Ooh.
Yeah, we'll learn stacks, and it's a 50-50 on per stack. I mean, this much stuff to put it all into one, to put it all in one bag like this and ship it. This is easily probably, unless you've got 100 accounts or something ridiculous, it's probably a good several weeks of work.
Oh yeah, easily.
I think he the freighter kill is an unsung hero. Obviously, it's probably stock of markets.
Yeah, well, he
was going the other way. But yeah, he's an unsung hero, but he was a very unsung hero.
Yeah, nobody's going to be singing this dude's songs except, about how he exploded. That's going to be an awesome song. I want to see that on SoundCloud. Somebody make it happen.
But there's the awesome content, right? You have Many Love shooting.
What the hell was that?
That was my kid. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry, my gamer kids are fighting.
GG, get wrecked, scrub.
Yeah. 429 blueprints worth of adaptive invuln 2s if you didn't use a decryptor. Because you get 10 runs per success. And they take about, I would say they take a couple days if you do the full 10 runs per slot. So, I mean, if you've got a couple of accounts, this is, like for me, if I had all the materials to do this all at once, and I resubbed all my accounts that had industrialists on them and got to work, it would take me literally like 3 weeks to sort through to build all this shit. And that's assuming I didn't have to build, and that's assuming I didn't build the subcomponents first, which I always do anyway. So this is like a month a month and a half of work.
Well, all the moon goo and everything else, Jesus.
Well, making the Tech 2 components, making the Tech on base, making the RAM. So I mean, this is literally like 6 weeks of work down the drain. When he could have piecemeal put it in the bulkheaded freighter, took it to, and even if he didn't sell it at that time, just left it in the item hangar, on autopilot, since he's a bulkheaded empty freighter. No one's really gonna be interested in killing him. But when you show up on someone's scans with frickin' 18 billion ISK, I mean, shit. Halo's gonna come after you if you've got 6 bill or more in your cargo hold, bulkheaded. But you show up in a well like this, it's like it's a rage thing when this shit shows up. It's like got an 18 billion ISK freighter bump. Get the fuck in the fleet right now. We actually we ran this guy twice actually. We can't run him the first time that brought him down to half structure, so we could pull Concorde away. So we ran him with nothing but catalysts. Then we go to a station, we jump in noob ships, undock, and just sit there and let the Concorde warp to us and kill us. And then we self-destruct back to the staging system. And then we jump in, stealth bombers or whatever. And we go back and finish them off.
I hope all you hardworking indie market guys out there are listening.
This is free intel that you're not going to get anywhere else.
It's been known. I'm not telling them anything that hasn't been told to people. Hell, the leader of fucking Minilove flat out said, keep your shit below 2 bill, put bulkheads on the goddamn thing, and no one will bother you. But the problem is that people either don't are willfully ignorant, or incidentally ignorant because they're not paying attention. Or they think the rules don't apply to them, and we're quickly correct that either way.
I don't think your intel is going to cut down the amount of dumbass freighter kills.
It won't, because they're, like I said, people either don't know to listen or just won't listen.
Yep. And
We'll be more than happy to scoop your shit and sell it for you and not give you any money for it. Because, I mean, this run probably put us out. I mean, because these were my stealth bombers used. These 8 stealth bombers you see here. The rest were all T2 catalysts.
Yep.
So you're talking, 3 mil a pop for the catalysts because they have Tech 2 on them. So it's candy. We'll do the bombers are all Tech 2 as well. So,
good way to make this.
Yeah, we scoop our own loot, so we scoop our blue loot. So we just put us out, half a bill tops. Yeah, we made 12 billion on the deal. I call that a win.
That is definitely a fucking win. Ah, shit, we've been at this for over 2 hours already. I guess we'll go into shoutouts. We'll do our shoutouts from the bottom. That's gonna be you. That's gonna be you, Urs.
Shout out to everybody in the Ministry of Love, doing your work of educating the puppy masses, one whale at a time. Shout out to, of course, the guys in Multiplex. Make even this game seem enlightened at times.
Awesome. Awesome. Jay.
You probably still dealing with his kid.
I'd like to do a shout out to the military gamers and everybody that showed up, and all the unsung heroes.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. Fork roll.
For that, I need Jay to answer my question real fast ahead in Discord.
All right, we'll skip fork roll while Jay is answering his question in Discord. Bill.
All right, I'll shout out to my guys in Fubar. We're constantly trying to live up to the name. Yeah, and I'll shout out to you guys here for letting me join you tonight. I really enjoy getting to sit down and have some good conversations, and I've been watching your stream, so it's pretty fun to just actually be able to throw in a little bit. I know I didn't talk a whole bunch, but yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Hell yeah. Hey, Fork, you get your question answered?
Yes, well, in this case, my shout-out goes to Jay, the unsung diplo hero. The reason for that is I was in a deployment today with my alliance and a few others, and this deployment got shut down because diplos did their work, and suddenly everything's blue around me. So, thank you, Jay. And I have one other shout out to my faithful spreadsheet minion who helps me planning all my stuff, who is called Hope Lawson, and also shout out to him.
Awesome. Well, as for myself, shout out for everybody who shows up, because honestly, there is no show without guests. I can't say this enough. I say this just about every episode. If there are no guests on the show, there is no show. So if you're ever interested in talking, just what you do in EVE, hit me up. You can find me in game at Manny Bothans. You can find me on Twitter at mrmannybothans. Or you can hit up Jay Maricotti, who is just doing awesome work getting guests for the show. Again, big shout out to you. Also, a big shout out to Matterall, who got me hooked up with Jay. If it wasn't for Matterall, me and Jay wouldn't be talking, and this show would not be doing as well as it is. I do want to thank everybody for coming and for everybody listening and watching. I do want to give a shout out to my guys over and Just Let It Happen, who are keep on keeping on. But for Bill, Forkroll, Jay, Tarquinius, Ursiel, Manfred Sidious, and myself, this is Manny Bothans reminding you that Manny Bothans died to bring you this broadcast. Fortunately, his medical clone was located somewhere nearby.